All right, welcome back, everybody. I hope you got some food. Feel free to refresh your drinks, and we're going to go ahead and get started with our patient panel. Um, if you look inside your program, you can learn more about the wonderful folks who have agreed to come up and speak with us today. And I'd like to turn it over to our MC moderator of the patient panel, Marcus Thorpe. He is with Ohio Health as part of the media relations team. And the floor is yours, Marcus.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And thanks for having me as part of this really special day. So I do media relations for Ohio Health here, and we get a chance to work in a lot of different spaces. And one of my spaces I get to work in for media relations is our neuroscience team. So I get to work with the docs and the team with ALS. So Dr. Novak and Jenny and really the group. It is just a special group that is working so hard every single day for our patients and for their families. And so the ability to have this discussion with the most important people that are on this journey are the patients. And so to have a chance to talk with each and every one of our panel today is going to be really great for me, but also really insightful, I think, for you all and for caregivers and for docs and for people that work hand in hand with the ALS community. So without further ado, we'll go ahead and get started. There are long bios, so I don't want to waste any time because we only have 45 minutes with this great group. So I don't want to waste a lot of time. If you want to learn a little more about them, you certainly can here. So we'll go ahead and get started if that sounds good to you all. So we have Annie on the end. We have Kim next to her. John is here. And then this is Elizabeth, but her friends call her Biz. And I'm a friend, so I get to call her Biz. So it's great to have all of you here. I kind of want to talk first about diagnosis and advice that you all might be able to share with folks. Obviously, it's a really challenging time for any person and any family. So Biz, let's start with you. What advice would you give for maybe caregivers, physicians when they have to make that ultimate diagnosis? What's the best way for you and for, do you think, other people to deal with this really big life-changing information?
It is definitely a personal journey. I would recommend allowing it time to process and just say, hey, we're here. If you needed me, I'm available. Don't get too pushy. Gentle is the way to go. Gentle and kind. It is a heavy diagnosis, and a lot of change is coming. So just allow it to process, be kind and be gentle. Ultimately, it is about the person, not about anyone else. So allow them to dictate what you do and how and when you do it.
Yeah. Annie, for those first weeks and months after a diagnosis, what advice would you give for somebody who is going to start that journey that can be confusing and scary and a lot of different things? What advice would you give for somebody that's newly diagnosed with ALS?
So you just touched on it. There are a lot of feelings: anger, sadness, you're scared, and it's okay to feel that way. So give yourself some grace, because it's okay to feel that way. Family as well are going to go through all of those feelings as well. And one thing that I told myself to help me get through it is I knew months and a year down the road I wasn't going to be feeling that way. I wasn't going to be crying all the time because it would be my new normal. So just know that with some time, you'll start to feel better and be able to tackle it every day.
Yeah. What was really neat for me, we had kind of a pre-meeting with the group here. I had a chance to get to know them a little bit and kind of understand their personalities and kind of how they handle different things, stress, joy, pushing through. And John, I really enjoyed our chat. You really do bring a lot of humor to kind of your everyday world. Can you talk about how, again, Biz said each individual person handles this diagnosis and the journey differently.
Yeah.
How much do you rely on kind of your upbringing of kind of being a little bit of a jokester and somebody who doesn't always take life so seriously on these really serious moments like this?
Well, the diagnosis is super serious. but the approach to handling that doesn't always have to be. I was reminded of a quote that was given to me by a friend of mine more than 30 years ago. I kind of remembered it but didn't pay much attention to it, and I started using it more in my professional career, but it applies personally as well. It's by Charles Swindoll. It's about attitude. Attitude. And the summary of it is life is 10% what happens to you and 90% how you react to it.
Yeah.
So we're in charge of our attitudes. So for me, it's having to remind myself of that sometimes more than once a day, and make the choice of how I engage. And I'm not shy. And yeah, fair. My wife just blowing her eyes. But it's a choice to engage with other people, and in doing so, it helps me to stay engaged with them and cope and deal with everything around me.
Yeah, it's well said. I was having a discussion with my 14-year-old son yesterday, and he was giving me a hard time about something, and then he paused and goes, "Dad, I think I kind of understand what you're talking about now, and whenever I have a kid, I'm sure they'll test me the same way that you test me." And I think back to what I would tell like my 18, 16, 14-year-old self. And Kim, I'm curious, what would you tell your newly diagnosed self now that you have kind of gone on this journey a little bit? You know a little bit more about yourself and your family and your support system. As you look back at when you were first diagnosed, what would you tell that person that maybe you've learned along the way?
I guess I would say stay at it, because it was quite the journey for me. It was, you have carpal tunnel syndrome, so I had my second surgeries with that, and you have this, you don't have ALS, and so I guess I would say stay at it until you get the diagnosis or something that you can understand what's going on with your body, et cetera. And I think my son kind of summed it up for me. He said, when I get down or get affected by it, he says, "Mom, live your life." And that resonates with me every day. Live your life. Plan for the future. Don't wallow in it.
Yeah.
I'm still in denial. I told them I was going to be honest if you asked me to speak. I'm in denial. I live there. It's a great place.
That deserves a round of applause. Absolutely. Let's talk about support systems. Nobody goes through this alone, whether it's a family member, whether it's a friend, whether it's a caregiver. Can you talk about having your tribe, why that's important? Annie, let's start with you. How important is it to have somebody that when you're having one of those down days, or when you're having the best day and you want to share it with someone, how important is it to surround yourself with people that are going to lift you up and push you?
It makes life so much easier and so much better. With this horrible diagnosis, I have to say that we've all been given a gift where we now know to value our time.
Yeah.
And so we can appreciate everything that much more than we would have before diagnosis. So the small things in life are what's important. Family and friends are what's important. So having that support system helps us get through this difficult time.
It was really fun for me to get here early and watch you all come in, and the amount of hugs and grabs of the arms and just close talking to each one of you. You see how special you are, and you all just completely light up the room when you get here, and everybody wants to come talk to you and see how you're doing and comment. Biz, finding the right support system is important externally, but finding the right care team is another thing that's really important, right? Somebody who you can count on when you go in. It's not, you don't feel like you're necessarily always just going in to have to hear about where things are. This truly is kind of a family atmosphere when you go see your care team, isn't it?
Absolutely. I attend the Ohio Health ALS clinic. I'm an hour away. So being able to come to one place, meet with, I think I see 7 or 8 disciplines. They're all on the same page. They're all in communication. I don't feel like a number. I definitely am a person with them. And, you know, they keep it real.
Yeah.
And I think in what we're experiencing, you can't always sugarcoat and, you know, say it is sunshine and daisies. That reality is harsh, but knowing they're the consistent people you can trust, it is such a relief to have that as a care team.
Yeah, I'll just give a shout out. Obviously, I work at Ohio Health, so I know a little bit about it. It is having a patient come in, and then instead of having to keep coming in and out over a week or two's period, it's one person comes in and the team works around you. The therapists, the social workers, everybody comes and sees you on that one day, so it makes it a little easier for you from a time perspective.
Yeah, I have my team trained. We're in and out in under 2 hours.
Yep, business team is shaking their head. Yes, they know how it works. So it's like
I have shopping, I have lunch, I have travel.
yeah,
We don't have time.
social calendar is full. John, when we talked, you were talking a little bit about support groups, right?
Yeah.
Groups where you have folks who are going through similar things, not
Yeah.
the exact same. As we mentioned, every
Yeah.
journey is a little different. Can you talk about the importance of having support groups and kind of how you've leaned into that space a little
Well,
bit?
you mentioned the tribe. My tribe is bigger than it used to be. And part of that for me is the Cincinnati ALS support group. I became aware of it right away after my diagnosis and went through the do I attend or do I not attend? And my default is to try to engage. Part of it is I get answers to questions, but part of it was some connections as well. The first meeting I went to was honestly really hard. It's very emotional. I was 2 or 3 months post-diagnosis, so it was still pretty fresh. And the emotions of being there and kind of saying, hi, I'm with you, I'm gonna die from this thing. I didn't say it that way, of course. But it's hard. But it became this family of friends who everybody understands, and you can talk to anybody there about anything, and nobody cares about the issues in terms of pretenses. You can just talk openly about stuff, have questions and answers, joke around and laugh and have a good time as well, and have connections for folks after the support group who you can stay in touch with afterward for questions and answers as well. So that's been a really nice addition to the tribe, if you will, for me. And I know others feel that way who attend because many of us keep coming back, and some of the pointing you here, some of the newer folks have returned even though I'm there. So it's a good group.
I love that. Kim, I know sometimes you have to take day by day, right? It's hard to look too far in the future. You don't also look too far in the past, but you have a really big thing coming up in August, right? Your son's getting married?
Yes.
Really big. How about that, huh? That's really great. I know you're excited about kind of getting there, but to get there, you know, sometimes you have to rely on caregivers, right, on a daily basis to help you. What advice would you give patients in the space first, but then also what advice would you give caregivers for working with ALS patients at the same time?
I'm very fortunate. My caregiver is my boyfriend of 23 years. I told you I'd be patient.
Yeah.
If he weren't sitting right there, it might be easier. But he told me at the beginning that he would be there for me and see me through, which was very important to me. My advice is for patients to find ways to not help themselves, but find ways that you can not rely on your caregiver for everything. Like I connected myself because of my organization with Dr. Novak there's a Dublin connector is what it's called. So they take me to my mani-pedis and will bring me back so that he can have an afternoon off. I sent Jay and his daughter to Ireland and England last spring so that he could have some time away from me. It's just little things like that that you can do for your caregiver. I just think that's important that they have that time away too. And you have to look for those ways to be a little bit more independent to do that.
Anybody else want to chime in on that? I think it's a really important thing to talk about is the importance of a caregiver, but sometimes you have to alter the way things are going if it's not working the way you need it to. Does anybody have something that they've noticed that they needed to change in the middle of that from a caregiver perspective?
I think spreading out the duty of being a caregiver. I call my people handmaidens or service humans.
Service humans.
You know, I have a phenomenal husband.
You do.
But he also can drive me bonkers. And we get to a point where either I need to go on a trip or he does. And on Wednesday he leaves for Vegas. So, you know, my mom and I have about 3 good close friends that are there at least once a week, and they do all the little things that as a female are important to me that Scott doesn't care. You know, he is happy with everything always, but not me. And I don't mean it to sound demanding, but I think spreading it out, having multiple people, whether they're family or friends, is key. And realizing when you're at a point where either myself need a break or I need Scott to have time away. Like Kim said, being able to send them away, recharge, regroup, that they come back better for themselves and for you.
Yeah.
We know that ALS United Ohio does such a good job of education and information and fundraising and all of the things that kind of go with that. And I know we're still pushing for a cure for this disease, and that's ultimately the goal of why we want to push as much information out as we possibly can. One of the places where I think we've made some advancements is some of the adaptive technologies that are helping ALS patients and caregivers and those kind of things. I'd be curious, Annie, maybe we start with you. Are there things that you've seen from an adaptability perspective that has made your life a little bit easier as you've kind of gone through this journey? Are there things in place that you're like, well, I'm glad I have that because I wouldn't be able to do this without that?
Well, let me start off by saying I'm the rookie of the group because I was diagnosed about 1.5 years ago. But I'm also a veteran because if you look at my bio, my husband also is living with ALS, and he's had it for 21 years. So I have been battling with him for a couple decades. Myself personally, I have a walker and I have a wheelchair, but my husband has used every piece of equipment that has come out. Everybody's case is different, so you're going to need different equipment at different times than everybody else. So ALS United is a good person to reach out to if you have questions. They've been doing this for decades, so they can help guide you on what maybe you might want to try or where you can get certain equipment, because they're a part of our team as well to help us battle this.
And a lot of this, and John, maybe you could speak to this too, is kind of trial and error, right? Yeah. You start with something, it works for a while, or it doesn't work right away and you know, hey, this is not what we need. We need to move to this. Can you talk about that process?
Yeah. The loan closet in Cincinnati offers the opportunity to reach out, ask for something. So honestly, there's a big long list with pictures of all the things that we can selects from, and I can do my homework ahead of time. But if I want to try something, I get my wife and I, or she can meet them there and try a new rollator rocker, for instance. I'm on my third one.
Yeah.
I use it in the house. The one I have now is more mobile and lighter weight for the way I use it, which is great. And the other one I had before that was not so much.
Yeah.
But they switch it out for you, put the label on it, and give it back when you're done.
That's cool.
Works out very nice.
Yeah. And Biz, the role of an occupational therapist, I know you have a pretty good one.
She's okay.
She's all right.
It's okay.
Jenny's great. So, this is a relationship that is, I wouldn't say you fight over things, but it is like, I need this, find something for me that works because I need this to eat. And she has to kind of come up with some pretty cool ideas that really can hit the mark for you, right?
Yeah, I mean, my relationship with Jenny, I would say we talk at least once or twice a month, and whether I have a question or she has an idea, or I found a new pair of shoes or a dressing tool or whatever, having that person as a resource is just, indescribable. Being able to rely on someone who knows you and they can just kind of say, all right, I know what you're saying, I'll troubleshoot, we'll figure it out.
Yep.
And that is priceless.
Kim, how has technology been for you as you've kind of worked through this, and what have you seen that works for you that maybe somebody could say, oh, that's a great idea, or that might be something that I like?
Yeah, I will chime in. Jenny does a great job, and I also have another OT that's out on the east side that has wonderful ideas. I mean, you'd be amazed what your phone can do. I had no idea the things my phone could do.
Yeah.
iPad, computer, etc. I was having some trouble eating, so they got me some of those tubes that you can put on the ends of your forks, and which was helpful for a while. Then they asked me if I'd like to try Obi, and I thought, what the heck's an Obi? So it's an eating system, which was great. It does certain things, but it needed a bigger spoon. So Jenny and I talked about that, and ALS United was lovely. Lexi had much more success than I had with their website. For $53, I got a bigger spoon. So anything like that that's helpful. I think in my denial world, I tried to hide things. We didn't put a ramp out in front of our house. We knew this chair was coming. I have the smaller one too, but they wouldn't deliver it unless you had a system. So now I have a nice elevator in my garage. They're a platform that is very helpful for me. What else? I'm trying to think of all the... I have just so many things that, and I'm willing to try that they're helpful. Oh, I know. This one's great. You want your toilets, excuse me, I have to say the word toilet, but to be adaptive for your company as well. And so I didn't have the kind that looks like a walker that helps you get up and down from the toilet. I found the greatest thing on Amazon. It's a little bar that goes under the back of your seat. Maybe you've seen these. It has arms that fold up and down, so I can put the arm down to help me get up. Saves him a lot of trips to the bathroom with me. And it's functional for the regular population. So.
I love that. Ask questions, right? That's the most important thing.
Exactly.
Do your research.
Amazon's a great thing. So.
It is. For everybody, for everything. I want to transition away from occupational therapy, mostly because I don't want Jane to get too big of a head and everybody think that she's sober. Look, this is a tough disease, and there can be some really down moments and moments of like, oh my gosh, but there's also a part of you that loves life and joy, and I'm curious what brings you the most joy as you kind of go through what can be really a tough day or a tough week or a tough month. Where do you find your joy? I think people want to know that too. Like, where do you find your inspiration? Annie, let's start down at the end with you. Like, where do you find your everyday joy?
My family. I have an 8-year-old daughter, so she naturally gives me joy. My husband, though, also is the person that pushes me and gives me not only joy but hope, because he has been living with us for 21 years. We appreciate all of the little things in life. So just simply watching a movie in bed together as a family is so much fun for us. And that's something that we would have taken for granted years ago. But we just live in the moment and really appreciate each other and the time that we have together.
Yep. Kim?
I would say certainly my boyfriend. My family brings me joy. I'm also just starting to write a book for younger children. Has to do with a superhero. So watch for that to come out. But I'm excited about that. But just being with family, like you said, enjoying the small things, time. And I think family doesn't realize that all the time. Busy with their own lives, but just that time with family is very important.
Yeah. This is your boyfriend right here?
Yes.
Hey, you're getting a lot of
I
shout
made him
outs,
sit
huh?
in the
You must be
front
a pretty good dude. I love it. Front and center, too. That's good. John, you bring a lot of people joy with your great sense of humor and kind of what you do, but what brings you joy, I guess, is the question, right?
Okay. First of all, I don't know if I bring everybody joy with my
All right. Fair enough.
Connections. I love it when people reach out. I have friends from working at the same place for over 20 years who still stay in touch with me and stop by to visit. I have friends from my church and my Knights of Columbus group who pick me up and take me to lunch on Friday and make me work at the fish fry too. But people who reach out, sometimes it's a phone call, more often it's a text, which is better sometimes because my speech isn't great. But the connections and outreach is really a big thing. Big thing.
Every connection is important,
you bet.
right? Absolutely. It's easy to take those things for granted. And each text of support or just, hey, what's going on? You want to go do something?
And
That's a
I'll
big
add,
deal.
I'll add, some of the outreach has been from folks I didn't expect. So in the midst of the diagnosis and the time that passes, some folks find it awkward and they withdraw. I get it. It's not easy. But some folks have chosen to actively engage, and that's pretty special.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
If you haven't followed Biz on Facebook, you're missing out because a lot of traveling. Just came back from skiing, right?
Yep.
In Tahoe. How was that? Not bad, huh?
It was phenomenal. Yeah.
What do you do for joy? I mean, tell me about where you find that inspiration, where you find that today's going to be a great day feeling.
I like the word pivot. With ALS, you have to pivot. It doesn't mean you have to change your priority or doing what you want to do or enjoy doing. You just have to find a new way to do it. So, my husband loves golf. I enjoy the golf also. Obviously, I can't do it anymore. But that doesn't stop me from riding along for 18 and enjoying a beverage,
Yep.
My fun looks different, but it is so fun and awesome. You just have to find a different way to do it or approach it or research. I mean, it does take often a lot more planning.
Yep.
But that doesn't mean it is impossible or you're unable to enjoy what you previously enjoyed.
Yep. We got about 10 minutes left. We've got a big audience here of folks who are all in the same tribe, right? Everybody here should be pushing in the same direction and doing everything they can to knock this disease out once and for all and find a cure and do all the things that need to happen. I want you to leave each person here with just some kind of message as we kind of wrap this up. What do you want an audience like this to know about you and your battle and who you are and where you're going and those kind of things as we kind of wrap things up and everybody gets on with the rest of their day? Biz, why don't we start here and we'll work down. What do you want this group to really understand? You've done a lot of fundraising over the years. You're very vocal and active in your community and other communities. What do you want this group to know as they kind of leave this space today?
For me, one of the biggest, I guess, messages is those of us with ALS, we are living with ALS. Yeah, our life looks different, but we're not different. Don't talk to us differently. Don't assume you know what we need. That is the main thing.
Yep.
Allow us to tell you what we need and how you can help us. We're not going to steer you wrong, but we're still our own individual person.
That's well said. John, big group of folks here. Again, everybody pulling in the same direction. What do you want them to leave with today?
Two things. One is resources. For everybody who is diagnosed, they and their friends and family, for most of them, except me, this is new. It was not new. But there's resources available. The answer to most things besides the cure is out there. For a little bit of outreach from your care team or online, shoot the Amazon thing of looking up a spoon. There's answers out there and articles and things you can Google to get information. So don't sit back, seek the answers and ask for the help. The other thing is choice. I mentioned attitude before, but I choose my approach every day, multiple times per day, sometimes in terms of how I'm going to react or adapt to a situation. And that's really important that every one of us, whether we have ALS or not, has to make that choice every day.
Yeah. I will say, I do think research and looking in the place that you want to find information is great. As John knows and this really team knows here, just make sure you're looking in reputable places. There's a lot of misinformation out there as well. So use your resources that ALS United Ohio has. It's great. It's been checked. It's been vetted. There's a lot of really weird, dangerous places you can go when you're just trying to Google your diagnosis or what's going on. So you do your research, find it in the most reputable places that you can possibly find it too. I think that's really good advice too. Kim, what do you want this group to walk away from today hearing from this panel?
I'm going to piggyback on what they said. I was shy to use ALS United. I was shy to ask for things. But once you open that floodgate, they just are very generous and they very responsive to your needs. I would say seek your own joy. As my son and Jay say to me all the time, use your words. You have to ask for things. They don't know that you need fed or they don't know that you need a sip of Coke a lot, right? And just live in the moment, but think about the future so that you're not always depressed all the time about it. And again, denial's a great place.
Annie, I'll give you the last word. I will say that what I love is just watching the four of you up here piggyback. You're kind of strangers to each other in a lot of ways. You don't know each other, but you share something and you feel and you shake your head when other people are talking and you're like, yep, that's exactly right. That's how I live my life too, or that's what I need to do too. So I love that. I love that community amongst you, perfect strangers. I think it's really neat. Annie, I'll give you the last word. What do you want this group to leave with today as they kind of head back into their worlds and connect with the people that are most important in their lives?
Well, this diagnosis can feel very isolating because it's so rare, but it is important to kind of look to others that have experienced this so that they can help you along. You'll see on social media that we're probably all friends with the same people because it's such a small club. But being a part of this club, you get to witness what other people are going through, and then it doesn't feel so foreign because you're like, oh, I've experienced that as well. And they can help motivate you and keep you feeling positive.
I love that. Absolutely. How about a nice round of applause for our panel, huh? Great. Great insights. As you can tell, they are not shy, so if you have questions afterwards or you want to find them, certainly do that. I encourage that as well. Thank you all for being so open and honest. I think it's really great. I know you all have a great afternoon ahead too, so look forward to all of the speakers that you have ahead of time, and I know it's going to be a great afternoon. A quick shout out to the audio and visual team from Ohio Health in the back. They've done a great job. They are the best in the business. They work long hours and they really want to make everything look and sound great, and they always do. So thanks for your time for 45 minutes to an hour here. Have a great rest of your day, and we'll talk to you soon. Thank you.